Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We're glad to have you join us once again. I am Lydia Odiji-Ochi. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live or all our social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. 37 agenda items treated in 7.5 hours by the Federal Executive Council at its meeting. Amongst them is the approval for the award of 129 billion naira for 2 projects under the second phase in Ogoni land. State House correspondent Jide Onifade will tell us all about it.
Issues on Ogoni land have always been in the front burner of the Buhari administration, and little wonder why the bulk of the approvals at the Federal Executive Council meeting went to the area.
So there are water projects that have been awarded under the second phase in Ogoni land, amounting to 22.8 billion naira. Approval was also given for the award for the contract for the remediation of newly identified hydrocarbon impacted sites along the shoreline of Ogoni land, and this is for about 107 billion naira.
Garba Shehu also speaks on some other approvals.
It also got quite a number of approvals, and this include contract for the full scope development of the Shehu Shagari Way. And it is for 91 billion naira. The FEC approved 449.9 million for the engagement of consultants for the development of airport master plan for 17 airports in Nigeria.
On food security, the Federal Executive Council approves a national dairy policy developed by the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development and the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment.
So the purpose is not just to regulate, but also to fulfill the food and nutrition. We all know dairy product is part of nutrition for good bones, especially for kids, calcium and all the other minerals and vitamins that are in that. In addition, of course, you cannot have a good dairy product without, of course, looking at livestock. So this policy not only is to regulate that industry, but in some ways and in connection with other programs and projects and policies has also a lot to do with livestock production, which is embedded in this particular policy.
A policy to aid the local production of automobile parts in the country was also approved. The memo on this policy is one of the 3 memoranda presented to the Council by the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment.
But the kind of assembly that is in process today is that of semi-knockdown parts. And what we have put in place is to give confidence to the original equipment manufacturers of motor vehicles, that confidence to come and actually manufacture completely knocked down parts vehicles in the country.
And for the Ministry of Transportation,
security equipment for the Nigerian railway stations across the country, phase 2, a sum of 4.3 billion naira with a completion period of 12 months.
One is the concession for the operation and maintenance of the proposed Guerrero 2 360 megawatts hydropower project, which is about to commence. The project was previously approved by Council in 2019 to be financed with a China Exim Bank loan. I think the project is ready to take off. It comprises of a dam, a 360 megawatt hydropower project, and 2,400 hectares of irrigation in the first instance, and it is situated in Niger State.
The Ministry of Youth and Sports Development presented just one memo today in council. The memo has to do with the National Sports Medicine and High Performance Center, the construction of a high performance center at the Package B of the Moshood Abiola Stadium.
In all, the total sum for contracts is 327.34 billion naira.
It's a continuum, and it should be seen as such.
In the State House, Jude Onifade, NTA News.
Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has assured that the federal government will continue to support Imo State government to unlock the economic potentials of the state. He gave the assurance in Oguta while flagging off the dredging project of Oguta Lake up to the Atlantic Ocean. We shall bring you details in subsequent bulletins. The Presidential Election Petition Court has adjourned to 18th May for further pre-hearing on the petition filed by Atiku Abubakar challenging the election of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Osnanyebe reports that the adjournment was at the instance of counsel to parties in the petition.
The first petitioner, Atiku Abubakar, and the second PDP, represented by the acting national chairman, Ambassador Umar Domagun, were in court. Upon commencement of the proceeding, counsel to the petitioners, Chris Uche, senior advocate of Nigeria, sought the permission of the court to allow them between Thursday 11th and Tuesday 16th May sort out all relevant documents to be used during the proper hearing. He told the court that counsel to the parties in the petition have met and agreed that a joint team is constituted to sort out relevant documents to be tendered to pave way for seamless proceeding during the proper hearing of the petition. The window, they stressed, would also enable them to respond to all applications served on them, including one by the petitioner seeking the live coverage of the proceeding at the court. With no objections, Justice Haruna Simon Samani adjourned to 18th May 2023 for further pre-hearing of the petition.
We served the other parties the motion for the televising of the proceedings. They explained here that they are still in the process of filing their replies. Therefore, we could not proceed without their input. So we don't want to anticipate their response. That's why the matter and this motion and other motions have all been adjourned to Thursday next week.
The second petition mentioned Thursday is that filed by the Allied People's Movement against INEC, APC, Bola Tinubu, and Kashim Shettima. Proceeding followed that of Atiku as counsel to Allied People's Movement, or OBED, sought adjournment for pre-hearing of the petition to 18th May to enable counsel to the parties in the petition to sort out documents. Counsel to the respondents agreed with him, saying a joint team has already been set up to look at all the documents to be tendered with a view to coming up with relevant ones that will reduce unnecessary objections during the proper hearing of the petition. They assured the court that before 18th of May 2023, they must have exchanged necessary processes for all the applications filed. The court agreed and thanked them for the cooperation so far, hence adjourned to 18th of May 2023 for further pre-hearing. From the Court of Appeal, Abuja, venue of the sitting, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
Nigeria and the United Kingdom have intensified dialogue of mutual concerns to measure up to various challenges facing the two countries. In a message by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, the meeting held in Abuja aimed to renew various bilateral agreements and include legal frameworks on vocational skills acquisition programs for Nigerians, address issues of medical tourism, visa and consular issues of migrants, amongst others.
We are going to advance over all the previous achievement. We're going to include in this MOU and in our relations vocational and skill acquisition. We're going to be very serious on the issue of a British hospital in Nigeria. We are working with the private sector.
Those who applied for visas to the UK do so on a proper and legal basis, because like you, we recognise the skill and the expertise that many Nigerian people bring to the UK, but we want them to do so legally and properly as your authorities do.
Participants were taxed on modalities in tackling crimes such as trafficking, irregular migration, and issues of visa policy, labor relations, amongst others.
To call on participants at this meeting to discuss the cost of visa fees and the height of visa application rejection by UK. On our side, I want to inform that the revised Nigerian visa policy MPB 2020 is robust enough to make Nigeria an attractive investment destination for UK citizens.
Discussing the agreements, easy asset recovery, intelligence data sharing, and other areas expected to be included to seal the bilateral agreement between Nigeria and the UK. The Supreme Court has adjourned hearing in the suit filed by the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, to September 14, 2023. The 5-man panel of justices of the Apex Court led by Justice John Okoro gave the order at the resumed hearing of the appeal of Nnamdi Kanu against the verdict of the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja. Kanu, through his counsel Michael Zekome's son, on 3rd November 2022, filed an appeal at the Supreme Court against the Court of Appeal's verdict stopping his release from the DSS custody. Nnamdi Kanu is an appellant in this matter, is appealing the October 28, 2022 decision of the appellate court, which stayed the execution of his earlier order, acquitting him of all charges and directing his release from the DSS custody. Michael Zekome's son, before the adjournment, pleaded with the 5-man panel of justices of the Apex Court to order the release of Nnamdi Kanu from detention on a compassionate ground due to the appellant's alleged ill health. Counsel to the respondent in the matter opposed the prayer of the counsel to the appellant. With this development, Nnamdi Kanu's appeal is due for hearing again on 14th September 2023. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Oluka Edi-Ariwola, has blamed policy inconsistency for the failure of several attempts at decongesting the Nigerian corrections system. He spoke at the Decongestion and Corrections Administration Conference underway in Abuja. Kelvin Ebonaye reports.
There are 75,507 inmates spread across the 240 correctional centers in Nigeria. Government data shows that 82 of these centers are overcrowded, with 81% awaiting trial inmates. This comes at a high cost to government, which budgeted 22.44 billion naira for feeding alone in the 2023 budget. With overstretched facilities and huge financial burden, the Chief Justice of Nigeria says there is no better time than now to muster political will to bring to fruition all the reforms being worked on for many years, a position adopted by the Minister of Interior, Ralph Arigbeshola.
From the information already in public domain, unnecessary prison congestions have severally led the incessant jail breaks, and of course, the overstretching of the various dilapidated custodial facilities across the country.
We will not shy the state for accommodating their inmates, their convicts and suspects. We will not. But going forward with the new law, we will not share. They will pay appropriate fee for feeding.
The conference, put together by the Ministry of Interior, Nigerian Correctional Service, and the Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action, is being attended by civil society organizations and development partners to find a clearer path to the seamless decongestion of correction centers. In Abuja, Kelvin Ebonaye, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has joined the Afenifere Cultural Group, friends and family in celebrating with Pa Ruben Fasoranti on his 97th birthday, admiring the courage, wisdom, resilience and visionary leadership that the non-Nigerian continues to provide. President Buhari affirms that Pa Fasoranti's personal profile conveys the remarkable history of Nigeria from independence, with his participation in shaping political and economic developments in the First, Second, Third, and Fourth Republics, and fearlessly advocating democratic rule under the military rule. The President notes the overwhelming influence of the Afenifere leader in the Southwest and across the country, preserving the legacies of the late sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, after working side by side with him in building the Action Group and Unity Party of Nigeria and serving as Commissioner of Finance in Ondo State, 1979 to 1983. Similarly, President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu has applauded Nigerian nationalist and leader of Pan-Yoruba social political organization, Afenifere, Chief Ruben Fasoranti, for clocking 97. In a statement by Tunde Rahman, Tinubu eulogized Fasoranti for his exemplary life of courage and public service as a teacher, school principal, local government chairman, administrator, commissioner for finance, and astute politician. The President-elect recalled the various roles Fasoranti played in progressive politics in Nigeria and the Southwest in particular from his student days at the University College, where he was an active member of Action Group alongside the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Premier of the Western Region, and Chief Adekunle Ajasin, first civilian governor of Old Ondo State. The President-elect particularly thanks Fasoranti for his support and encouragement during the presidential campaigns that produced him. You're still watching Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Hingino is standing by from Lagos with more stories. Hello, Hingino.
Hello, Lydia. With the improvement recorded in Nigeria's maritime domain, collaborative efforts of all stakeholders in the sector to sustain the positive trajectory, especially the delisting of Nigeria from countries with volatile coastal domain, is very germane to harnessing the blue economy for growth. This and the need to review the maritime laws to ignite rapid development of the sector are issues emphasized by speakers at the third edition of Nigerian Admiralty Law Colloquium. Joel Bukola has the report.
While security operatives continue to ensure maximum protection of Nigeria's maritime domain, especially the Gulf of Guinea, key players and the judiciary are already thinking outside the box in tandem with the theme of this year's Admiralty Law Colloquium, which is looking beyond the threat possessed at seas to harnessing the gains of a secured maritime domain. Director General of NEMASA Bashir Jamu, who was represented at the event, and other speakers urged relevant agencies not to be complacent but intensify effort to safeguard the Gulf of Guinea. Amendment of relevant laws, quick resolution of maritime disputes is paramount to enhance the economic prospects of the sector.
The maritime sector offers the best opportunity for Nigeria for enhancement of its foreign exchange earnings, its revenue base, but I'm saying that this time the focus should be on the impact on the GDP.
Our goal actually at this seminar is to build on the previous year's maritime safety and security legislative policy reform to now exploiting the natural resources within the Gulf of Guinea, having secured the maritime sector in the Gulf of Guinea.
For the representative of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, and other members of the bench, priority will be given to grey areas of the maritime laws to keep pace with the rest of the world and sustain recent momentum.
We continue the conversation on ways to counter threats and insecurity in this sector by upholding the effective administration of our criminal justice system. I believe that at the end, we will make significant progress.
The consensus at the colloquium is expected to reposition the nation's maritime sector and put it at a vantage position. In Lagos, Joel Bukola, NTA News.
Training and retraining of officers of the Nigerian Army on needed skills in multi-agency joint operations has become imperative in modern security structure, since no security system can exist alone. To this end, the Nigerian Army 81 Division Ikeja conducted such training for its officers with the theme Enhancing Operational Preparedness of Officers for Participation in Joint and Multi-Agency Operations. Lanre Bilei brings details.
Multi-agency security structures has always been a norm in tackling security challenges in the country.
These joint operations will no doubt require some skill set for officers in making them successful. And this is what the training seeks to provide. The General Officer Commanding 81 Division, Nigeria Army Lagos, Major General Obina Ajowa, represented, states the need for synergy in such security setup.
Training is part of the Nigerian Army, so to enhance the synergy, to enhance efficiency in the field, the joint training must cascade down. If you watch at the strategic level, there's jointness between but at the lower level, there seems to be some friction here or there. So such training like this, where we have other services and other agencies coming in, is to smoothen those areas.
The training officer of 81 Division, Brigadier General Oluwole Davis, urged the officers in training program to exchange ideas that will improve their efficiency in combined security structures.
The lectures and topics for discussion were carefully selected to equip and also provide a platform to enhance command and leadership proficiency. Furthermore, it is designed as a means of mentorship for junior commanders through cross-fertilization of ideas and sharing of experiences on operations and command skills.
The training examined every facet of multi-agency security network, from conduct, collaboration, leadership to mentorship in the ranks. In Lagos, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Nationwide will continue with Amina in Kaduna.
The Jigawa State 6 transition subcommittees inaugurated about a month ago are rounding up their work, turning on reports and findings. Muhammad Musa Askari reports that the state governor-elect, Umar Nnamdi, who is also the chairman of the main committee, said he is confident that Jigawa will have a smooth transition of government. The report.
The committees are based on sectors of the state economy whose main responsibilities are to identify the assets and liabilities of the government from each sector. Already, most of the committees have turned in their reports, hoping that the reports will be compiled into a one big document that will contain everything for the handing over that will be held on the 29th of May.
From the reports, I think things are going on very well, and I think since on the right path, and from all indications, the new government will have a smooth sail once we have started.
The various subcommittees did a thorough job. They were able to come to study the MDS reports. They were able to come up with the challenges, the recommendations. The governor-elect was the Commissioner of Finance and the current Deputy Governor, and he is also the chairman of the Transition Committee.
There is a general calm in the process for the fact that the transition is intra-party. As such, the process is expected to be seamless. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
Stakeholders in peace building have identified forgiveness, mutual trust and understanding among citizens as key factors responsible for promoting peaceful coexistence for national development. This is coming out of the Interfaith Prayer Summit by Advocates for Violence-Free Society and Peaceful Coexistence Initiative held in Kaduna. Tukiamudon has more.
The state has had its own share of crisis, which resulted in making some vulnerable. The state government, in collaboration with individuals, took it upon itself to make so many interventions in order to promote peace and peaceful coexistence among its people. The summit seeks to sensitize indigenes on the importance of forgiveness, having a violence-free and healthy society for all.
To be healthy as a nation, for the citizen to have a focus, to be able to work together, we need to give unconditional forgiveness, because that is the only power of healing our wounds.
A country like Nigeria, where we have people of different faith, it behoves on the religious leaders to be on the driver's seat, to preach peace, understanding, and tolerance. I think it's even beyond tolerance. They should think and teach about accepting our differences and living with our differences.
Different speakers at the summit are of the view that it will further sensitize the people on creating an enabling environment. To Kenwadu, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Lydia in Abuja.
Many thanks. To enable Nigeria keep the important position and make way for him to complete his nationally beneficial tenure as an executive member of the International Police Organization, Interpol, President Muhammadu Buhari has appointed the retiring Assistant Inspector General of Police, Garba Baba Umar, as a senior security advisor on international police cooperation and counterterrorism in the office of the Minister of Police Affairs. President Buhari also took note of the fact that during his tenure as a member of the Executive Committee, AIG Umar assisted Nigeria in many ways, with the hope that in the remaining 1 year, he will even do more in securing equipment for crimes, border management and counter-terrorism for the country, and in helping to get more Nigerians into important positions in the Interpol. AIG Umar's tenure at the Interpol ends in November 2024, and his new appointment as Senior Security Advisor takes effect from 16th of May 2023. 39 years after its creation, stakeholders in Police Community Relations Committee have converged on Abuja to take stock of the benefits of the collaboration. This is with a view to charting a pathway in achieving maximum security in the country. Francis Form has more.
Community policing model emphasizes proactive rather than reactive policing. And here, the involvement of the community in crime fighting is key. The laudable initiative of establishing the Police Community Relations Committee by the Nigeria Police Force in 1984 has continued to yield the desired results. This is evidence in the partnership between the police and the various communities.
That their commitments and contributions towards tackling crimes and criminalities will not go unrewarded.
Stakeholders attest to the fact that the journey has been worthwhile.
We are always proud to be a friend of the Nigerian police, and we continue to improve on the relationship of members of the public and the Nigerian police.
The participation of the community incorporates local values and attitudes that would assist in crime prevention and reduction. When you are working with police and police is working with you, there should be an element of trust.
While commending the effectiveness of the community policing initiative in the country, the Nigeria Police Force applauded the PCRC members for their contribution and support.
The IGP encourages the PCRC to do more, to have what they are doing, because there is a remarkable improvement in what PCRC is today from what it was in the past.
Some Nigerians who have contributed to sustaining PCRC were honored. Francis from NTA News.
Evolving a robust synergy between sister security agencies has been identified as an effective scheme in curtailing current emerging security challenges in Niger State and the country at large. The new AIG Zone 7, Aliyu Garba, noted this during a familiarization visit to Minna. Musa Mikhail reports.
Basic responsibilities of the police is prevention of crime, which can be enhanced through partnership with sister security agencies and the community. This, the new AIG Zone 7, Aliyu Garba said, is the way forward in curbing crime and criminalities across the country. The AIG, with on familiarization visit to Niger State, said it is an opportunity to rub mind with officers and men under the zone on their challenges to provide solutions. He also underscored the importance of dedication to duty while assuring them of the police management commitment to training and retraining of its personnel to enhance effective service delivery.
We need information. Information and intelligence is key to enable us perform the best aspect of our responsibilities. We must be our brother's keeper. And that is why the adage of when you see something, you must say something.
The meeting had in attendance members of other security agencies, PCRC and vigilantes. Emira Musa Mikhail, NTA News.
The Department of State Services, DSS, has unveiled its gender mainstreaming policy, outlining a homegrown comprehensive framework for the integration of gender perspectives and inclusiveness in the agency's policies, programs, and procedures. A statement by the DSS describes it as a key component of the service commitment to promoting gender equality in line with the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the National Gender Policy. Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Tallen, who unveiled the policy, applauded the initiative and called on other agencies to emulate the service. Next, we go to Makurdi, where Fatima is standing by with more stories on Nationwide. Hello, Fatima.
Hello, Lydia. Welcome to Makurdi. Educational experts from across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT have converged on Makurdi, the Benue State capital, for a 5-day reference committee meeting on education. Simbiat Agbaji reports that the meeting is to deliberate and address challenges confronting the sector.
Specialists have established the fact that education is instrumental to other developmental milestones in various sectors of the economy, though there are challenges facing education in Nigeria. This ranges from issues of funding, availability of committed technocrats, good succession plans, amongst others. With the aim of proffering solutions, key players in the education sector drawn from the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT under the umbrella of the Joint Consultative Committee on Education is holding a reference committee meeting to this effect. Benin State Governor, represented by his Chief of Staff, Tivlu Muniti, pointed out societal issues and vices as one major impediment to education in the state and stressed the need for monitoring and evaluation at the point of policy formation.
We are determined to, as much as possible, implement the policy decisions that will be arrived at.
The Joint Consultative Committee Reference Committee 2023 meeting, which holds from 8th to 12th May, has the theme Addressing the Challenges of Policy Implementation, a panacea for the achievement of Education 2030 agenda. In Makurdi, Simbiat Agbaji, NTA News.
The Nigerian Navy has reiterated its commitment in improving capacity and welfare of its officers and men for effective service delivery. The Flag Officer Commanding Naval Training Command, Rear Admiral Patrick Nwatu, restated this during the combined graduation ceremony of 44 ratings at the Nigerian Navy Provost Regulating School, Makurdi. Moses Ajau Ode reports.
For the past 18 weeks, these 44 graduating ratings have been under the tutelage of instructors on various courses, which includes Masters at Arms Qualifying, Masters at Arms Refreshers, Petty Officers Regulators, and Leading Regulators Qualifying courses. This provost rating course, according to the Commandant, is targeted at equipping the officers with the tenets on civil-military relationship, as well as other enhanced military skills and operations.
The importance of the school in administering criminal justice, discipline, and law enforcement in the Nigerian Navy cannot be overemphasized. This is why every effort is being made to continuously improve and expand the scope of the course content in line with the mission and vision of the Chief of the Naval Staff.
While presenting certificates to the graduating ratings, the guest of honor, Flag Officer Commanding Naval Training Command, Rear Admiral Patrick Nwatu, charged the ratings to put to use the knowledge gained in the course of the training.
For new ratings, we must know that successful completion of these courses marks the beginning of a new phase in their career progression as naval police personnel of the Nigerian Navy Provost and Releasing Departments.
He assured the people that the Nigerian Navy is prepared to enhance and equip its officers with needed skills required to safeguard territorial waters and by extension Nigerian security. In Makurdi, Moses Ajao-Ode, NTA News.
And that's it from Makurdi. Nationwide continues after this break.
Welcome back. Nationwide continues in Abuja. We now move to Geneva, where a special session of the UN Human Rights Council has opened to discuss the situation in Sudan, as more than 750 people have been killed and hundreds of thousands have been displaced in the fighting that began on April 15th. Justin Bemoni reports that the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, has condemned this wanton violence in which both sides have trampled on international humanitarian law, notably the principles of distinction, proportionality, and precaution.
Was received on May.
The UN Rights Chief Thursday called on the international community to exert all possible pressure on the fighting sides in Sudan to resolve the conflict and end the wanton violence. United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, said the fighting has plunged the much-suffering country into catastrophe. He urged all states with influence in the region to encourage, by all possible means, the resolution of this crisis. Thursday's urgent council session in Geneva was expected to wrap up later with a vote of a draft text calling for an immediate halt to the violence.
We strongly condemn the wanton violence and killing of innocent civilians, including children. However, the call for this special session is a flagrant disregard of the sovereignty and political independence of Sudan, and indeed an outright dismissal of the efforts and commitments of the African Union, IGAD, UN Security Council, and other regional mediation efforts to ensure a lasting ceasefire.
Sudan's ambassador, Hassan Hamid Hassan, told the council his country was opposed to the special session, insisting that what is happening in Sudan is an internal affair. But Germany ambassador Katharina Stach flatly rejected that idea, insisting to the council that peace and the respect for human rights go hand in hand. And U.S. Ambassador Michelle Taylor also stressed that negotiations to establish a ceasefire and get desperately needed humanitarian assistance flowing to the people of Sudan can and must occur at the same time that the Council fulfills its role and mandate in addressing the dire human rights situation. Justin Bemuni, NTA News.
The removal of fuel subsidy is a step Nigeria must take as the nation looks to build an economy that is less dependent on oil. At the policy session on Nigeria's post-oil economic future put together by Carnegie Endowment for International Peace and Agora Policy, panelists set agenda for the incoming administration. Leah Katong Babatunde has that report.
Like most African countries, is resource-rich, but experts have over time posited that these resources have not clearly translated to desired gains. The dead weight that accompanied oil revenue for decades is subsidies, and the consensus here is that it has to go.
For every $1 billion Nigeria spends on fuel subsidy, it is $1 billion out of education, $1 billion out of healthcare, $1 billion out of power, $1 billion out of infrastructure.
We are in a situation where in economics we call it tragedy of the commons, which is a situation where within a community everyone recognizes what's the right thing to do, what will benefit everyone. But if any one person tries to do the right thing and the others don't follow, then they're going to be worse off.
Panelists are of the view that policy direction must be frontally adhered to, with the sole aim of promoting viable economic performance that will reflect in the overall development index of the country driven by restructuring.
We have a political culture that has no regard for public service, that's driven by pursuit of personal interest, and most of the time, self-enrichment or enrichment of my state or my ethnic group is a toxic political culture that has developed. If we don't tame the politics, if we don't produce what I call productive politics,
rather than the consumption-oriented, almost rent-seeking kind of distributional politics that has dominated over time, we are not going to be able to achieve both speed and sustainability.
We have a new government come May 29. The only way that government will perform is if we go back to those roots where merit is what determines how this government that comes in will be run.
Sanji and Agora are leading the conversation for these policy reforms.
Development, the sustainable variant, is not a naturally occurring phenomenon. It is created.
There are also positive deviances. There are cases in which reforms have happened, federal agencies have been run properly, etc. So that cannot be the sum total of the explanation. That is another set of theories that we need to set aside.
The general take here is that the incoming administration must take deliberate steps to ensure the right policies coexist with the right drivers. In Abuja, Lake Tumbaba today, NTA News.
A canoe ferrying passengers has capsized, claiming the lives of 15 people in Dundeje village of Shagari local government area of Sokoto state. The affected communities are now calling for support from the state and federal governments to forestall reoccurrence of the incident. Aliu Muhammad Kawaye reports.
The 15 victims of the canoe mishap lost their lives in the early hours of Tuesday. Some of the survivors, Safiya Ali and Ralia Abubakar, said 8 of them were rescued out of the 23 people loaded on board, while 15 people died, in which 13 were females and 2 were males. The driver of the canoe, Jaja Fulani, attributed the incident to tidal waves, which made it difficult to control the canoe. The district head of Lambara, Hassan Muhammad Lambara, and village head of Dundeje, Umar Farouk Dangaladima, described the incident as unfortunate, calling on Sokoto state and federal governments to provide flying boats and life jackets to Dundeje and Ilele Dabore communities. The zonal head of National Emergency Management Agency, Aminu Shaya Ambrusa, was at the village and assured of assistance to the affected communities. Meanwhile, the Sokoto State Governor Aminu Waziri Tambwal has paid a sympathy visit to the area. He pledged to provide them with boats. In Sokoto, Ali Muhammad Kawaye, NTA News.
To address the gaps in achieving universal health coverage in Nigeria, key players in the nation's health sector are drawing up modalities to accelerate the implementation of the National Health Insurance Authority to improve the health of Nigerians. Elizabeth Omori has that report.
To ensure that there is equitable access to quality healthcare services across board, especially amongst vulnerable groups, this meeting became imperative by actors in the health sector and the federal government. Professor Nasir Sambu, who hinted on the mandate of 3 implementation committees constituted for guidelines involving stakeholders' participation, noted that mandatory participation for all and provision of mechanisms to pay for those that cannot afford health services are requirements for universal health coverage.
We are trying to see how we can bring the totality of innovative initiatives so that we look at the political, economic implication of each and every one. So the innovative financing is looking at all those things so that we have a consolidated document that will speak to all the necessary innovative financing mechanism that we require to mobilize the resources for the coverage of the vulnerable group.
Multiple taxation, a catastrophic health expenditure, and out-of-pocket payment were some of the issues raised.
One option is streamline it. Another option is compartmentalize it, and you have multiple sources trickling in.
And by more people actually paying for health insurance, that expands the pool of funds, and that expands the amount of money that's even available.
They recommend domestic resource mobilization and social contributions to health services. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
The Senate Committee on Education, Basic and Secondary, has queried why some quarters of the country are yet to access the 2022 Marching Ground Intervention on the budget performance of the Universal Basic Education Commission, from 2019 to 2022. Education correspondent Nnamdi Kanu reports this was during an oversight visit at UBEC.
The year 2022 capital budget, we are here to confirm the implementation.
Bayelsa, Cross River and Delta states are among states that couldn't access the 2022 UBE matching ground intervention. UBEC gave its reasons.
As an intervening agency, the Commission have an initial challenge of having no control on how states conduct their affairs. They have to wait for how the states' principals decide how to work out these things. And their common complaint is since they are given a counterpart, they will have to source for money to provide this counterpart. In any case, most of the states are trying to provide the counterpart. But majorly, if the state did not provide its counterpart, there is no way we can start the process of allowing the state to access its funds as far as matching grant is concerned.
More queries from the Senate Committee on Education, Basic and Secondary, as a little above 162 billion naira was allocated to states being the UBE matching grant intervention for the period of 2019 to 2022. But as at April 30th, 2023, only a little above 116 billion naira was accessed, representing 71.52%. Meanwhile, in 2022, there was constituency and zonal intervention projects. 905 projects were awarded, out of which 229 classrooms have been completed, 64 renovated, and 536 supplies made. The 76 yet to be completed was another call for concern.
About 6 to 7 weeks to the end of the implementation. What guarantee do you have to this committee that you will be able to complete those 76 and complete them qualitatively?
We normally have to rely on getting either no objection from the Bureau of Public Procurement or the process that we normally do other than that one. So this, we usually have technical delay in getting the no objection among others.
But UBEC boasts of its best, reiterate commitment towards quality assurance. Abdulmalik Hassan, NTA News.
The National Orientation Agency is taking its campaign against the vandalization of public assets to the grassroots. This is part of efforts by the agency to stem economic sabotage and promote ownership of public infrastructure among citizens. Omenka Amarachuku reports.
Critical infrastructure such as pipelines are being vandalized. Police stations, banks, schools and other public structures are oftentimes destroyed at the slightest provocation. Not even power installations, among others, are safe.
Destruction to these properties are also a form of self-harm. We are not promoting ourselves, we are not helping ourselves. If a community has just one bank and you go there and destroy it because you are angry, they don't have cash, you are the one who is going to suffer because you are living in that community.
Installations and facilities and other assets within their community is for their good, and they should owning it by protecting it.
These stakeholders' engagement, therefore, emphasizes the need for citizens, especially at the grassroots, to own and protect infrastructure in their localities.
I made reference to ENSA destruction. The loss was colossal, and it will take a lot of time for all the governments to fully and properly replace what were lost.
The way to sustain them is to make sure you provide monitoring for them. You guide them properly. It's very important. We have what we call homegrown engineering. Engineers in the country can do these things.
The forum, having identified ignorance, poverty, unemployment and several others as some reasons for the perpetuation of the ugly trend, agrees that all hands must be on deck to remedy the situation, recommending stiffer sanctions for perpetrators. Omenka Amarachuku, NTA News.
Golden Eagles set to clinch World Cup ticket.